This is the introduction of the Marshalling Training Manual and Videotape DVD that has been revised from the Santa Maria Museum of Flight, Commemorative Air Force, U.S. Navy Naval Manual, Civil Air Patrol Flight Line Reference Text. The Marshalling Training Manual and Videotape is provided to help instructors and instruct flight line personnel in the proper use of hand signals from the marshaller to the pilot of the aircraft for instructions and safety on the flight line and the ramp. This manual and video is produced and filmed by the training officer of the Santa Maria Museum of Flight. The Air Boss, Air Supervisor Director. The Air Boss is the person responsible to the event director. As Air Boss, he is in charge of all aircraft from the time of takeoff to its landing and has visual control of all the aircraft operating in the controlled air box around the airport. The Air Boss will conduct a pilot's briefing before any airshow activities take place to ensure that the safety, smooth, and timely operation of all aircraft activities. The Air Boss should be the only person out on the flight line wearing a yellow jersey or shirt, as he will rely on the Ramp Boss to have aircraft ready for launch at the appropriate time. Ramp Boss, Ground Supervisor Director. The Ramp Boss is in charge and responsible to oversee all flight line ground operations of the aircraft, tug operators, tug crew, marshalers, and all other flight line personnel who are out on the ramp and the flight line area. The Ramp Boss reports directly to the Air Boss. The Ramp Boss will ensure that all flight line personnel will be effectively and safe in the movement of all aircraft out on the ramp and flight line. The Ramp Boss will establish an operations center, flight line operations, where all flight line personnel will receive their information and marshalling instructions and assignments. The Ramp Boss will survey the airport for hazards and emergency equipment and will make sure that all flight line personnel are wearing red safety or orange vests. Tug operators, drivers. Tug operators receive their instructions from the Ramp Boss and is responsible for the safe operation of the tug and the aircraft in tow. The tug operator should be well trained in operating the tug and have the know-how to hook up any aircraft out on the flight line. The tug operator shall not move any aircraft except under the permission of the pilot and the marshaller, giving instructions with the help of wing walkers if needed in a confined area. Tug crews, flight line personnel. Flight line personnel are usually assigned to the tug by the Ramp Boss and will stay with the tug to hook up the aircraft to the tug with a tow bar and are trained in the use of appropriate types of tow bars. The tug crew will then accompany the tug, transporting the aircraft on its ground movement to its proper location, then disconnecting the tow bar from the tug and the aircraft. Other duties may be placing or removing chocks, fire extinguisher standby on aircraft startup, walking the wings of aircraft that are being moved and towed by a tug in confined spaces, and the monitoring of safety of the personnel and public at large near the flight line. Flight Line Operations Center. The Flight Line Operations Center should have an aircraft display board that shows the layout of the flight line where all aircraft are going to be placed, both active and inactive aircraft, with its type and end number if possible. The Flight Line Operations Center, tug operators, tug crew, and marshalers should be equipped with radios for communications with the Ramp Boss. Hearing protection such as earplugs or earmuffs should be worn around active, turbine, and jet aircraft and helicopters by marshalers and tug personnel. Eye protection should be worn around active aircraft and helicopters to protect the marshalers from flying debris. All flight line personnel should use sunscreen as well as chapstick, lip balm, out on the flight line area. All personnel should consume sufficient liquids to prevent dehydration. Remember that safety is our primary concern out on the flight line, and no activity is so important enough that safety of the person should be compromised. Safety on the flight line: no smoking, no running, no horseplay, no walking backwards. Keep clear of moving propellers and rotating blades. Flight line personnel should perform a FOD walk just prior to starting air operations to prevent any object that might be on the ramp flight line that could damage an aircraft or injure a person from flying debris from prop or jet blast. Under no circumstances should a marshaller or any flight line personnel approach any aircraft on fire when a prop is turning unless they have been trained in firefighting techniques. Flight line personnel with a fire extinguisher can stand by during startup in case of stack fire, and most aircraft fires are taken care of by trained fire protection personnel from fire department. Number 1, equipment. Suggestions for members of the marshalling detachment. 1. Good pair of leather shoes, as nylon does not breathe and becomes uncomfortable after 8 hours or more out on the ramp. Number 2. Leather gloves if you are working around aircraft with hot oil or hydraulic fluids. Number 3. Marshallers are asked to wear comfortable clothes and red shirts or orange safety vests so they can be seen by the pilots out on the flight line and the ramp area. Number 4. In addition, a marshaller should have sunglasses, sunscreen, whistle, and maybe a set of batteries for their two-way radios if needed. Number 2. Marshallers. The object of the training is to construct a firm foundation in the marshalling basics for all flight line personnel and a refresher course for other qualified marshallers. By the end of this training, you will be able to demonstrate the ability to control the movement of aircraft on the flight line using hand signals and know the inherent dangers in flight line operations and the ways to minimize them. The basic function of the marshaller is to control movement of aircraft prior to and after flight. The function is performed mainly on the ramp and the flight line at the airport and occasionally on the taxiways during and after waivered period at the airshow and flight ends. The function is accomplished using approved marshalling hand signals, exercising due care, and ensuring that the movement is clear to all vehicular and pedestrian traffic. The primary model of the marshaller is to serve and defend. Because of the high visibility and constantly reminding ourselves that we represent this organization, the Santa Maria Museum of Flight, to the public at air shows, we are working. Marshalling an air show is the team effort, and the team leader is the ramp boss. The ramp boss is responsible for the overall activity of the marshallers and ground crew on the flight line. He or she is the coordinator, administrator, final decision maker, and directly responsible to the air boss and the air show chairman. Problems with marshallers, ground crew, pilots, and equipment should be brought to the attention of the ramp boss. As a marshaller in a ramp environment, you will work with a single engine tail dragging aircraft such as the Stearman PT-13, PT-17, and the T-6 Texan type aircraft where the pilot visibility is limited and the aircraft will turn side to side in order for the pilot to look down the flight line to see the marshaller trying to direct him. The marshaller should be on the right side of the aircraft as it approaches you, which is the pilot's left side, so the pilot can see your hand signals. You are the one who is directing the pilot and has the aircraft down the flight line, and remember, if you cannot see the pilot cannot see you. A marshaller should not be directly in front of an aircraft prop while the aircraft is in operation. You should be to the side, toward the aircraft's wingtip. The marshaller should be standing still and never be backing up while directing the aircraft. If you are marshalling an aircraft out on its parking area on a hot start, you should look around, under and behind for anything that may be potentially hazard, either to the aircraft or to a person behind or around the aircraft. Assume your position in front of the wingtip of the aircraft on the pilot's left side, out of the propeller's path. Make eye contact, pat your head, and point to the pilot to indicate to him, I am your marshaller. Remember, if you cannot see the pilot, he cannot see you. Check for fire bottles. Look around aircraft for leaking fuel, oil, hydraulic fluid, or any other opening compartments. Check to see that the civilian and ground personnel are out of the way. Do a 360-degree check and then prepare to start the engine. Extend the left arm to at least head height with the thumb up to indicate clear to start your engine. Make small circles with your vertically extended right arm and hand during cranking procedures. When engine starts, check the exhaust stacks for fire and external venting. If a malfunction appears or venting continues, inform the pilot by holding your nose and pointing to the area of the malfunction. You need to consult with the pilot before engine start for the chocks to be pulled out. If the chocks are still in while the propeller is moving, then the procedure is to place your hand on the wing and slide down the wing toward the pilot until you are next to the landing gear, and reach in and remove the chocks and keep as close to the wings sliding your way back out with your hand still touching the leading edge of the wing. Back in position, the marshaller will raise both hands to give the signal that the chocks have been removed and give the signal to move it forward. After the aircraft has moved out of his parking slot onto the taxiway, pass him off to the next marshaller. Do not marshal backwards. When all appears normal and no further marshalling is necessary, indicate to the pilot by belly rub, salute, and thumbs up. If it appears that it will be necessary to move down the flight line to continue marshalling the aircraft and no other marshallers are present, move quickly to the point in front of the aircraft and turn and resume normal marshalling. If you are marshalling an aircraft and it is coming towards you and is about to pass you by, pass on the control to the next marshaller down the line and signal to the pilot that you are passing control to the next marshaller. When you have passed control from you, the next marshaller will raise his hands and signal the pilot that he is the next marshaller and give hand signals directing the aircraft. Arriving and recovering aircraft normally have the right-of-way out on the ramp. After the marshaller has positioned the aircraft, give the stop signal and then give the cut sign. Unless it is an emergency shutdown, the pilot will normally run the engine for a few seconds before shutdown after he receives the cut signal. Remain in position until the engine and the propeller stops. Call switches off, insert chocks, and inform the pilot when chocks are in place. Remember, do not leave an aircraft without integrated brakes on a hard surface without any chocks. Emergency procedures. Your primary job in case of an accident or other emergency is to provide crowd control and to ensure emergency vehicle and other personnel arriving can swiftly, easily, and safely get to and from the scene, and only the ramp boss or the assistant ramp boss should approach the scene of the accident if it seems apparent that the emergency personnel will be delayed. Their job will be to stand fire watch and make sure that anyone injured should stay where they are unless they need to be moved due to fire. When emergency personnel arrive, they will return to work crowd control unless asked by emergency personnel to stay on site. At any time during the accident, stay off the radio. Do not talk to the media directly and refer press to the designated spokesperson, which should be the Airshow chairman or the public information officer. Number 3, measurements. Number 4, hand signals. Aircraft. Figure number 1, proceed to the next marshaller. Right or left arm down, other arm moved across the body and extends to indicate direction of the next marshaller. Figure number 2, this marshaller. Arms above head in a vertical V position where the palms facing toward aircraft. Figure 3, move forward. Arms a little astride, palms facing backward, and repeatedly move upward, backward from the shoulder height. Figure number 4, turn to the left. Hold left arm above head in a vertical position with the palm facing towards aircraft and the right arm pointing and extending to indicate direction of turn with the right hand. Figure number 5, turn to the right. Hold right arm above head in a vertical position with the palm facing toward aircraft and the left arm pointing and extending to indicate direction of turn with the left hand. Figure number 6, slow down. Arms down and palms toward ground, then move up and down several times. Figure number 7, move back. Arms swept forward and upward repeatedly to shoulder height. Do not bend arms at the elbow. Figure number 8. Clearance for personnel to approach aircraft. The pilot beckons with a motion of right hand at eye level. Figure number 9. Stop. Arms crossed above the head, palms facing forward. This is an FAA signal for emergency stop. Figure number 10. Start engines. Circular motion of the right hand at head level with the left arm pointing to the engine. Number of fingers extended on left hand indicating the engine to be started. Thumb of right hand extended to indicate prime. Figure number 11. Cut engine or rotors. Both arms and hand level with shoulder. Hand moved across throat, palms downward. Figure number 12. Chocks inserted. Arms down, fists closed, thumbs extended inward, swing arms from extended position inward. Figure 13. Chocks removed. Arms down, fists closed, thumbs extended outward, swing arms outward. Figure number 14. Lower wing flaps or flaps are extended. Hands in front, palms together, horizontally and then open from the wrist. Figure number 15. Raise wing flaps or flaps are up. Hands in front horizontally with palms open from the wrist, then closed. Figure number 16. Tail wheel, nose wheel locked. Hands together overhead, palms open from the wrist in a vertical V and then closed. Figure 17. Tail wheel, nose wheel unlocked. Hand overhead, palms together, then extend from the wrist to form a vertical V. Figure 18. Affirmative, all clear. Hand raised and thumb up. Figure 19. Negative, not clear. Arm held out and down. Figure number 20. Folding wings, helo blades, swept back wings. Arms straight out at side, then sweep forward and hug around shoulders. Figure number 21. Lights on, with your right arm bent with the 2 fingers of your right arm going to your eyes or glasses, indicating to the pilot the lights are on. Figure number 22. Need fuel. With the right arm, extend with your thumb to your mouth if he needs fuel. Number 4. Hand signals. Helicopters. Figure number 1. Landing direction. March your turn and face toward point where the aircraft is to land, and arms are lowered repeatedly from the vertical position to the horizontal position, stopping finally in the horizontal position. Figure number 2. Vertical movement upward. Arms extended horizontally, sideways, beckoning upward, with palms turned up, speed of movement to indicate rate of ascent. Figure number 3. Vertical movement downward. Arms extended horizontally, sideways, beckoning downward, with the palms turned down, speed of movement indicates rate of descent. Figure number 4. Vertical movement to the right. Left arm extended horizontally, sideways, in a direction of movement, and the other swung over the head in the same direction in a repeated movement. Vertical movement to the left. Right arm extended horizontally, sideways, in a direction of movement, and the other arm swung over the head in the same direction in a repeated movement. Figure number 6. Lower wheels. When helos approach the landing gear retracted, marchers should signal by side view of a cranking circular motion of the hands. Wave off. Wave off of arms over the head. Figure 8. Hover. Arms extended horizontally, palms downward. Figure number 9. Land. Arms crossed and extended downward in the front of the body. Figure number 10. Take off this way at pilot's discretion. Marshallers concealing left hand and make circular motions with the right hand overhead in a horizontal plane, ending in a throwing motion of the arm toward direction of takeoff. Figure number 11. Engage rotors. Circular motion in horizontal plane with the right hand above head. Hand signals. Numbers. 0 with the fist closed. Number 1 with one finger extended upward. Number 2, 2 fingers extended upward. Number 3, 3 fingers extended upward. Number 4, 4 fingers extended upward. Number 5, 5 fingers extended. Number 6, with one hand pointing, one finger horizontal. Number 7, with 2 fingers pointing horizontal. Number 8, right hand with 3 fingers pointed horizontal. And number 9, with right hand extended with 4 fingers pointing horizontal. This is the bar used for T6s and T28 tail dragging aircraft, and it's on the tug. Now it will be taken off the tug and placed on the ground.